Greetings and welcome to Armstrong Auditorium. My name is Ryan Malone, the concert manager here. We are presenting Broadway icon Brian Stokes Mitchell Thursday night, November 10th at 7:30 p.m. Stokes was able to come to Armstrong Auditorium a day early and give an assembly to our student body, and he was also able to take a tour of this exquisite performance venue here. I also had the opportunity to sit down backstage with Stokes and talk about his program for tomorrow night.
You know, I kind of like all the songs that I do. I mean, it's one of the nice things about putting a show together on your own is that you can pick all the songs that you want to sing. You don't have to sing anything that you don't like. And I've lived with so many of these songs for so long. I think the joy of it is finding something new in each of the songs each time I do them. And really, all of the songs that I'm going to do tomorrow are songs that I just love to sing because they touch people. They're written beautifully, and they make me feel happy. I guess if there's one thing that I look for in a song, kind of in the whole concept of the show that I do, I want people feeling better when they leave the theater than they did when they walked in to the theater. I think it's an artist's job and responsibility to transform people, to make them think maybe on a higher level if we can. We aspire to that. We don't all the time get to do that, you know, or feel happier or feel deeper, or your life should be enriched in some way, I think, whether you're going to a museum or a concert or frankly a church. If you're at a church, I think the same thing. You should feel better leaving the church and leaving the sermon than you did when you walked in.
Stokes gave us a sneak peek at some of the songs he'll be doing.
Tomorrow night is more of a musical theater. I sing all kinds of music. I love world music. I love standards. I love jazz. I love musical theater. I don't think I've met a musical form that I don't like yet. So I generally ask what people want in the venue, and I was asked to do more of a musical theater show. So it's musical theater heavy tomorrow with like Some Enchanted Evening and The Impossible Dream and Where Is the Life That Late I Led from Kiss Me Kate, and I'm trying to think what else. I've snuck some other songs in too that I also love to do. Waters of March, which is a great Brazilian song by Jobim, which is one of those songs that just makes me feel good and makes an audience feel good too. It's one of those great things, you know, I can feel them responding really well to the show. And some Gershwin as well, which I just love Gershwin tunes.
Stokes will be performing with a fantastic quartet of musicians.
It's a piano, bass, drums, and a woodwind player who plays about 80 different instruments. It's just incredible. I mean, all of the musicians are really, really wonderful. The bass player and the drummer were two-thirds of the Cy Coleman trio. Cy Coleman, of course, was a great composer of theater. He wrote Sweet Charity and oh man, he wrote so many shows. The Life. Now I'm blanking on all of the shows that he wrote. But he also wrote some great jazz pieces like Witchcraft. The Best Is Yet to Come. He was an incredible jazz pianist in his own right. And one of the last times I saw him, which is about a week or two before he passed away, he did a performance at Feinstein's and with a trio. It was him and the piano and him on piano, the bass player and the drummer, and the bass player Gary Haas and the drummer Buddy Williams. Have become my bass player and drummer as well, so I get them. My pianist is a gentleman named Ted Firth, who I did my Carnegie Hall solo debut with, who's just. He can play anything. He can play jazz, he can play classical, he can play musical theater, and anything in between. He arranges, he is a musical director, he does everything. And the woodwind player is a guy named Bob Magnuson, who's one of the finest woodwind players in New York, who plays oboe. He even plays trumpet. He plays oboe, trumpet, flute, alto flute, all the saxes. He's just incredible. So it's a really great group of musicians.
One of the songs he'll be performing has a special meaning to Stokes. It's about a father teaching his son how to read.
That New Words, that was one of the first Christmas gifts I gave to my wife. My son started talking before he was a year old, And so when he was a year, I snuck him into my studio in my house, and I had a conversation with him, and I had him saying some words and everything. And then I actually put him on a recording, and then I played and sang new words for my wife. So that kind of became a favorite song of ours, and then I ended up putting in the show because I loved the song so much.
I also asked Stokes how he programs such a varied concert and what the art is in programming a show like this.
I think there's a visceral reaction that everybody has to a song, and I'm no different. You know, when I hear a song, I think, oh, I love that song, and I want to sing that song, or oh, I know what I could do with that song. If you have something that a different interpretation to a piece of music. And then I've been doing this now for about 8 years, so in that time you learn to kind of pick and choose songs that go well together. It's important the order that you put songs in, and the expectation an audience has. For a while I started with a jazz number, but a lot of times people come and want to hear the musical theater things, and it makes them go, oh, it's jazz, I don't really like jazz so much. So you kind of start having to then get them up again. But I've learned I'll start with the musical theater number, and then I can kind of go into standards and kind of take them gently there. So that's part of the fun of it too. Is, you know, it's what I love about doing concerts is they're all different, and I can change them for each audience and for each venue, and depending on how I'm feeling, I may sing a song totally different than I would do it another occasion. And because these musicians are all so brilliant, they're with me. They know where I'm going with it.
So would you say programming is almost an art in itself?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely it is. You really have to have a sense of pacing. And you know the hardest thing that I found? The second song. That has always been the hardest thing. The opening number is usually easy to do. You can start with the big, you know, you want to start with something big and splashy and fun that kind of gets their attention. But the second number, do you do something slow, or do you do something fast? Do you do something medium, or do you do something introspective, or do you do something big and splashy again? You know, I mean, it's very, very difficult to do that. But again, if you know the venue and you know the who you're playing for, that's when you would change it. Sometimes I have about 3 different versions of Some Enchanted Evening, which is usually what I open with. And one is big and splashy, and one starts very, very quietly and very intimately. And depending on the size of the room, the intimate version doesn't work good in a 2,000-seat house. It would actually work in a house like this. But it also, I can feel the excitement level of an audience as well. And if they're really ramped up and there's a lot of excitement in the house, I don't want to start with the quiet one. They want a show. They're ready to jump in it, so I'll do the more exciting version of it. So, you know, that's the other kind of thing I change around.
Brian Stokes Mitchell is performing this Thursday, November 10th at 7:30 p.m. in Armstrong Auditorium. Tickets are still available. For tickets, call 285-1010. That's 405-285-1010, or go to armstrongauditorium.org.